Good morning. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Bliger PA21 Explorer. This watch is available from AliExpress from Watch Restore for €65. So firstly, let's look at the packaging that the PA21 Explorer comes in, and then I will talk you through the specifications of the piece. So the watch comes fully wrapped with protective films, which one removes. The watch itself is protected by a plastic bag, and that plastic bag is then also protected by a second plastic bag which is resealable, as you can see. And Bliger then wrap the plastic bag with several layers of bubble wrap, as you can see, and then they pack the watch and bubble wrap inside a disposable polystyrene case for shipping. So that does suffice in protecting the watch from any damage in shipping. Now, the only other thing one gets with a piece is this thank you card from My Watch Code, and on the reverse of the thank you card is a QR code inviting you to check out the website mywatchcode.com. So normally I would be critical of a brand not including an owner's instruction manual, warranty card and a watch box, but in this case I'm not going to be critical because this is a low tier piece costing only €65. And this watch has a loaded specification, and it's clear that Bliger have put everything into the specification and the build quality of the watch rather than accessories like a warranty card, owner's instruction manual and watch box itself. So I think it's acceptable not to have those accessories, bearing in mind that this is such a loaded specification piece at the €65 price point. With regards to specification, it has a 40mm case. It has a 48mm lug-to-lug measurement, and it has a thickness of 12.8mm. The lug width is 20mm, and the oyster style bracelet tapers from 20mm down to 16mm at the glide lock clasp. So looking at the piece, the Bliger PA21, it's clearly an homage to the Rolex Explorer 214270. And I'm going to say this straight away. This is the best Rolex Explorer homage money can buy for under €100. When I talk you through the specification, you will understand why I say that. Sapphire crystal, and it has solid end links in the oyster style bracelet. It also benefits from a glide lock clasp to the oyster bracelet, screw pins in the oyster bracelet rather than push pins, and the fit of the end links to the case are perfect. Now, as you can see, it has a solid stainless steel case back, which is Rolex style, brushed satin finish to the center section, mirror polish to the circumference, and it has the same coin edge finishing to the teeth of the screw down case back. The screw down case back provides an effective hermetic seal to 100 meters, as does the screw down coin edge finish crown. The crown is unsigned, and I think that's perfectly acceptable, bearing in mind that this is a low tier piece at only €65. Now, with regards to the crown execution, it is silky smooth. It's one of the best crown actions I've experienced on a watch, regardless of the price point. It unscrews and screws back down very well. The interface between the internal thread on the solid stainless steel crown and the external thread on the stainless steel crown tube are outstanding. Silky smooth, and it has a characteristic pop of the NH35 movement when one unscrews the crown. So with regards to the dial layout, it's clearly a copy of the Rolex Explorer 214270. The large Arabic numerals 9, 6 and 3 are in the classic Explorer dial layout, and they are fully loomed, as are the other applied indices. It also uses the same Mercedes hands as the Explorer, and I think that Bliger deserve full credit for not over-branding the dial with unnecessary specification. For example, it doesn't say 100 meters, it simply says Bliger at 12 o'clock and automatic at 6 o'clock, just the right amount of information. Now, with regards to the materials used, you'll remember that I recently reviewed a Benyar BY5177, which was also an Explorer homage, and one of the biggest disappointments of that piece was that the case was made from zinc alloy, which was nickel plated to give the appearance of stainless steel. I'm pleased to report that with this Bliger, there are no other cost-cutting measures like that. The bezel, case back, end links, bracelet and also glide lock, as well as the crown, are all solid 316L grade stainless steel. With regards to the finishing, the mirror polishing to the bezel, the flanks of the case and the flanks of the bracelet and the glide lock are all outstanding. No imperfections whatsoever. The solid end links are a good fit to the case, there's no play in them. The quality of the brushed satin finish to the Oyster links is superb. It's got a lovely sheen and luster to the 316L grade stainless steel. Just beautiful to look at. Very high quality finishing. I also like the use of screw pins in the links rather than push pins, and I also like the fact that this has a glide lock clasp. And really, it's incredible to get a glide lock, bearing in mind that this is only €65. I'll just show you the reverse and you'll see the glide lock. This is something that even Pagani Design doesn't have on the PD1661, for example. It has a flip lock clasp, but it doesn't have the glide lock mechanism. So this glide lock also has a EasyLink type extension, which also adds an extra 5mm onto the length of the bracelet. And I'm pleased to report that the glide lock does actually function very well. It clicks in and out of the body of the glide lock clasp, and one can easily slide it up and down inside the body to fine-tune the length of the bracelet. So it really is a very well executed glide lock, even though this is a low tier price point piece. The interior is satin finish in the centre, as you can see, and they have laser engraved Bliger, and also looking at the flip lock on the glide lock, they have also laser engraved the flip lock, so it's a signed glide lock clasp. Very good quality, no sharp edges, no sharp corners, flawless mirror polishing to the flanks of the body of the clasp. It's just absolutely beautiful, so I'm really pleased to see that. Now, with regards to the quality of the build quality, I'm very impressed with it. I think that the links feel nice and tight. There's not too much play in between the pins and the links. They're very well put together. The build quality and quality control is all good. So I'll give you a wrist shot and then you can see how it fits on my 8-inch wrist. Now the piece weighs 147 grams, so it's a 40mm, and it does feel like it has wrist presence and heft, because that's quite heavy for a 40mm. Very close to the weight of a Rolex Submariner Dates, which is 149 grams for example, and that also has a 40mm case. As you can see, the fit of the case is absolutely superb. They have got the proportions of this piece perfect. 48mm lug-to-lug measurement is the sweet spot for all wrist sizes, regardless of whether you are a collector with a 6 to 7 inch wrist or a 7 to 8 inch wrist respectively. 20mm lug width perfectly balances the 40mm head of the piece, and they have got the taper correct, 20mm down to 16mm at the glide lock clasp. Everything about this watch is perfect. Proportions are good, even the thickness at under 13mm. It's 12.8mm, but despite that it has a nice lip to the flat sapphire crystal. Now, a minor criticism is the lack of AR coating on the underside of the sapphire crystal. When I tilt the piece at an oblique angle, as you can see, the flat sapphire crystal is highly reflective. But however, one has to remember that the Rolex Explorer itself, the 214270, doesn't have anti-reflective coating itself. So really, one cannot criticise this homage to the Explorer at €65 not having AR coating. It is a minor criticism. So the comfort is absolutely superb due to the flat solid stainless steel screw down case back, and really the bracelet is also superb in terms of its comfort. The Oyster style links are just absolutely beautiful to look at and also very comfortable to wear. So the proportions are correct, and also it's got a nice wrist presence and heft because it's 147 grams. Now with regards to the movement used, Bliger initially offered this with two movements, the Mingzhu 2813 and also the Miyota 8215. And I had previously considered purchasing one of these pieces for my own personal collection, but I'm not particularly fond of the Mingzhu 2813 or the Miyota 8215. I really would prefer a better grade of movement. Now I'm pleased to report that Bliger now offer this piece with a Seiko NH35A movement, which is made in Japan. And of the three movement options, the Mingzhu 2813, Miyota 8215 and Seiko NH35A, the NH35A is clearly the best choice because it is bidirectional rather than being unidirectional. It also has hand winding and hacking, a 40-hour power reserve, and as you'll know from my previous reviews, it runs at 21,600 vibrations per hour and a frequency of 3 Hz. The stated accuracy of the NH35A is -20 to +40 seconds per day. Now, I'm pleased to report that this watch is running at -2 seconds per day, which is incredible. It is actually running within COSC chronometer limits of -4 seconds to +6 seconds per day. To get a €65 piece, which is running at -2 seconds per day, is just outstanding. And I think Bliger deserve full credit for using very well regulated Seiko NH35A movements. This watch really is impressing me, so let's do a Lume test and we'll see how the Lume performs when it's charged up to its absolute maximum. Now, bearing in mind that this is a low tier piece at only €65, I don't have high expectations of the performance of the Lume, but we'll check it out nonetheless and we'll see how it performs. Right, so that's now fully charged, and as you can see, initially the C3 Luminova glows brightly on the applied indices and also the Mercedes hands, but however, disappointingly, the large Arabic numerals, the 9, 6 and 3, immediately begin to fade to nothing. So the performance of the C3 Luminova on the Arabic numerals is negligible. It is as if they are not lumed whatsoever. So I would describe the Lume performance as being poor. Initially there is a bright burst of emission, it does emit well, it does glow brightly, but then it quickly begins to fade, and as you can see, even on the applied indices and the Mercedes hands, it is now beginning to fade to nothing. So there is room for improvement, but however, at €65 one has to accept there will be some cost-cutting measures, and I would rather see cost-cutting measures with the Lume rather than other aspects of the watch. For example, they could have cut costs by using a hardlex crystal or a mineral crystal rather than sapphire, but this is sapphire crystal. So really that is the main negative of the watch, the poor quality of Lume. But with regards to the rest of the specification, it is very impressive. 100 meters of water resistance, screw down crown, solid screw down case back, and it also has solid end links, screw pins in the bracelet, and most notably the glide lock clasp, which is outstanding at this price point. So lastly, I'll surmise the piece. What do I think of it overall? Well, when I'm considering reviewing a watch on my channel, the watch should meet two criteria. It should be both excellent quality and excellent value at the respective price point. So the price of this Bliger PA21 is €65. It is incredible value. I regard the value to be just outstanding. It cannot be beaten. The specification is loaded for €65. Sapphire crystal, Seiko NH35A movement, 100 meters of water resistance, 12 months international guarantee, and it also has a glide lock clasp which is very well executed. It simply cannot be beaten in terms of value. This is the best Rolex Explorer Homage for under €100. With regards to the quality, I consider it to be outstanding quality. The execution of the crown is one of the best crown executions I have experienced. Silky smooth, beautiful thread pickup, and the finishing of the coin edge finishing to the solid stainless steel crown is outstanding. Cannot be faulted. And even the finishing to the screw down Rolex style solid stainless steel case back is just sublime. It's just absolutely flawless. There are no flaws to the finishing of it whatsoever. And this is the kind of finishing to a case and a case back and a crown one would expect to see on a mid-tier piece, certainly not on a low-tier piece costing only €65. Lastly, I'll say this. I wouldn't have bought this watch for €65 if it had a Mingzhu 2813 or a Miyota 8215, which, as I've discussed, were the previous alternatives. But having a Seiko NH35A movement in this piece, which is made in Japan, really does make it both incredible value and also incredible quality. So I'm going to declare it a champagne watch for lemonade money. Now, in fact, I like this watch so much I have decided to add it to my own personal collection, and that is the highest compliment that I can pay a watch. I think that Bliger deserve full credit for producing an outstanding piece, and I highly recommend it to you for your consideration. So I hope you've liked my review of the Bliger PA21 Explorer. Please feel free to post your own comments below the video. Thank you very much.